Welcome back. Thank you once again for hanging out with us. This is the one and only IT in the D show. I'm your host, Bob Waltenspiel, hanging out with producer, co-host extraordinaire, Randy Walker. Guest this week, one of our old favorites. I mean, she's not old, but she's been on the show many times, so she is a favorite of the show. Michelle Gilbert's in the house from Comcast. We used to beat her up really bad, but she's got nothing but good things to say now. And life is good, so I don't think we're going to be as mean to her as we used to be. But you can find us online, itinthed.com. Do us a favor, give us a like on the socials, subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold. Don't forget, hit us on meetup.com /itinthed. We're going to be at, Randy, where we're going to be at? Nancy Whiskey in Corktown for the next 3 months in the summer on the patio. Rain or shine, because it's covered.
Starting July 20th.
Starting July 20th. Thank you, Randy. But yeah, we're going to be there for the next 3 weeks. Then we're going to go back to Urban Rest. Urban Rest is a great venue, but we figured that we'd want to change it up, go to Detroit, be on the patio. So hope to see you at Nancy Whiskey. Michelle, how you doing? How's life treating you?
Life's treating me great. Thank you. So good to be with you.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Yeah. You know, we always have such great conversations. I like to save a few topics up so that we have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, it's funny. When you first were on the show, we I don't want to say we were mean to you, but we weren't. We were like, we're going to beat you up a bit and then let you talk about the fun stuff. But I think life is good. Other than like, it's the same thing with everything. It's like I wanted to talk about like cord cutting used to be such a hot topic, and now I don't hear about it much. Like, is it leveled off? Are people like what? Like, I know the kids nowadays, it's all everything's on demand. Nobody's really, what's the stats on your end? What's usage look like from has everything flattened out?
It's flattened out more than it was in the past when we first started talking. And by the way, you did not beat me up. We had a very crunchy conversation, we'll call it.
Fair.
Yeah. But, I think we've learned a lot over the years around what consumers want with their video entertainment. And we see a lot of different types of trends. There are still probably more people leaving than joining, but we've got streaming products to meet their needs. In fact, we just launched a new service called Now TV that brings the best of all worlds. It's a streaming service that provides, subscription service with free ad-supported content. So it kind of brings the best of everything for our customers who are on a budget and, want to be able to get news and sports and movies and TV shows and everything else.
I saw that it's $20 a month. And I said, well, crap, what's on all day? I've got ESPN on in the background all day. What are the channels that are on that? Because I'm dying to know.
What are the channels that are on it? I don't have.
I didn't mean to catch off guard.
No, that's okay. So let's see if ESPN is in here. So I'm going to start reading. You tell me when to stop. A&E, Afro, AMC, Animal Planet, BBC America, BBC News, Comedy TV, Cooking, Crime, Investigation, Discovery Life, Food Network, FYI, Great American Family, Great American Living, Get TV, Game Show Network, Hallmark Channel.
Hallmark, my wife will be happy.
Lots of Hallmarks, HGTV, History Channel.
So it's actually regular. It's almost like basic cable from like 1987. Yeah. I'm not,
It's got a lot of the most popular traditional cable channels. It also comes with our Peacock Premium service. And then it comes with 20 free ad-supported streaming TV channels, which would include NBC News, Sky News, Black Cinema, action movies.
Then the locals too, right? That was
yeah, it's got to have the locals too. Absolutely. Okay.
For $20 though, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just throwing that out there. I know there's so much. we've still been a customer now since pretty much we moved in the house, and it's like every time the bill creeps up, I'm like, I'm gonna cancel, and then it never happens, and because I watch too much stuff. It's you know what I mean. Every time I know Randy's like, I don't watch TV anymore. I'm like, yes, you do. You watch every show that we talk about. You know exactly what we're, and then you watch more. Like I think, no, Randy, you finally got me to get Paramount Plus. By the way, I hate you.
Oh, really?
Well, and I think one of the trends that we have seen is that nobody can get everything they want with just one service. So they may have a traditional video service like Xfinity, and then they supplement with whether it's a Netflix or a Hulu or something like that. And what we're seeing is a lot of people, they hop from one streaming service to another based on what shows they watch and when the next season's.
They do it to us on purpose. Like all of a sudden, this one drops on HBO Max, and this one drops on Peacock, and this one drops.
Right.
They know they got us. They know we're hook, line, and sinker. We're all bought in. Because you don't want to be it's the FOMO thing. You don't want somebody to go, oh my God, did you see Extraction 2? And they go, I don't have Netflix. Oh my God, you don't have Netflix? And it's this huge conversation. It's almost like you're a leper now if you don't have. Randy looked at me like a leper when I didn't have Paramount Plus, and I'm like, I don't like Star Trek, Randy. But it was.
You have it now, and you like it.
I have it now. There was some. I wanted to watch Tulsa King. My buddy was in the show, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just get it. And then now I found a bunch of stuff I like, and now I kept it. So.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the crazy things going on right now, especially like we all think sitting here in our little pulpits and with our little smartphones, we think, oh, everybody's got internet, and it's so far from the truth. And like we just, how much was it? Was it $42 billion the government just allocated for infrastructure spend? Did I read that right?
You did read that right. So this is the bipartisan infrastructure bill that has been worked on, and the Biden-Harris administration came out with a press release just today announcing the allocations. $42.45 billion that is going to be invested to bring high-speed internet to every single home and business that doesn't currently have it.
See, now where doesn't have it? Now, Randy, your folks are up north, and you kind of scoffed when we talked about this. Like they don't have, like, what are their options up there? Is it just HughesNet?
Yeah, they get satellite. Even cellular signal doesn't reach them particularly well, so that's not really an option.
Because I know, like up north, there's the farmer telcos, but that's only 20 of them in 20 different counties. But there's Michigan's a lot bigger than that. Where is this? This is for this is literally going to blanket Michigan.
Well, this is not just about Michigan. This is really about all 50 states.
We just care about Michigan today, Michelle.
And the 5 territories. All right. Well, we only care about Michigan. Just want to make sure you understand that Michigan is not getting $42 billion. That is going to be divided across the country and the territories.
Idaho doesn't need internet. There's only 14 people there.
But to the point that you were making, it's like, well, we all live in southeastern Michigan. So we're like, well, what do you mean there's not internet? Like there's internet all around us. I mean, the truth of the matter is there are actually pockets within what we would consider to be southeastern Michigan that haven't had internet. Comcast just did a very small build in a part of Washtenaw County. It was through the state of Michigan's Connecting Michigan grant program, and we're only reaching 200 households. But these were 200 households that didn't have internet before.
God, that's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me.
I know. Similar in Grattan Township, which is out on the west side of the state. It's probably about a half hour from Grand Rapids. Similar scenario. Never had high-speed internet before. So again, a partnership with the state of Michigan. We're now able to serve the people in that community. But, I'm going to assume, we've got large swaths of land in the Upper Peninsula that don't have high-speed internet. So I think, it's certainly up to the state of Michigan, and they are going to have about 180 days to put together their proposal and submit it to the federal government in terms of how they're going to accept grants. But it's really going to be up to them to determine where the money is spent.
Now, what about, Randy, do you know better for like 5G, like when you go up north, like in the thumb? I've never really checked or looked. Is that even a thing up north, or are they not served there either?
There are some areas of 5G, but like where my parents are in Gladwin County, signal's pretty weak outside of town, and sometimes even in town, there's just not enough capacity.
But that's West Branch, though. Isn't that like a normal? I would consider that like a regular sized city.
It's between Midland and West Branch, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So what can we? I guess when we're done, what can we expect? Is you're hitting because I know like even in Detroit there was pockets that were not serviced now, and I guess who owns it from an infrastructure? Is it fiber? Is it coax? Is it a mixture? Like who's getting to put all the infrastructure in?
So I would argue that Detroit is fully covered.
Okay.
There may be pockets where they only have one or two competitors, but I can tell you without a doubt that Comcast provides service across the entire city of Detroit. In terms of the process and who's going to own it, it's most likely it's going to be a grant process. So the state will probably, and the state of Michigan has already done this with other dollars that they've received, but they put it out for bid, and then internet providers like Comcast and others can bid on the projects. And typically the way it goes is who's going to provide the biggest bang for the buck. And, it'll be a bidding process. And then typically there's a challenge process to make sure that the area that a company says they're going to build to is in fact unserved or underserved. And so that challenge process is a really important process because it makes sure that the dollars are really being allocated where they should be going.
See, now I remember, 2006, fiber to the home was all the rage. And I remember when we moved in our house, this was 2008, oh my God, fiber to the home. And I haven't heard much about it, if anything. Is it because it got too expensive to go end to end and fiber to the curb was cheaper than doing the last mile and other methods? Or literally we haven't heard about it. All we hear about is, the 5G cubes in the house. And, then I hear that they're awful. You know what I mean? So sure. What happened to fiber to the home?
Well, so I can tell you that when we build to new areas, we are building fiber to the home. When we are building new plant extension, very often we are building fiber to the home. But there's no reason why we need to rebuild our network because we are making advancements to our network through software and other technologies that's providing more speed than our customers need.
Well, the fact that Nuri can get a gig to his house in Bloomfield Hills, it just, I think I'm at 600 something, 600 or 800. I think I have to my house,
And we're actually in the process of doing additional upgrades where soon probably within the next year, we'll be able to provide 2 gigs to the house, as well as 5 times to 10 times faster upload speeds. We're already offering it in West Michigan, and Detroit will probably be lit up sometime within the next year or so. And then eventually we are going to be able to provide symmetrical up and down speeds on our existing network. So we've got, through the technology that we already have, it makes it a lot more cost effective. And, that way it's better for our customers and we don't have to dig up their yards.
Is that for the hardest? I can't imagine 2 gig. Is that for the hardest of the hardcore gamers? Because I'm just looking at we're a heavy usage house and we're fine,
Well, and that's exactly the point. Speed is only one part of reliability. And so we look very holistically when we're talking about where we make investments. Yes, we are making investments in speed. And you have to look no further than a couple of years ago during the pandemic. Our network stood up to all of the heavy usage that our customers relied on us for. And other than a few blips here and there because of power outages or storms or this and that. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Speaking of power
Woo,
outages.
Yeah.
speaking of power outage, there you go. That was kind of strange, wasn't it?
Ours went out yesterday. Ours flickered a couple times. Yeah.
That was crazy timing. Anyway, our network stood up during COVID and the heavy usage that we saw throughout the pandemic. So when we look at reliability, we're not just looking at getting faster speeds because, to your point, Bob, right now, customers have as much more than enough speed than they need. Now, we're continuing. The reason we're doing these advancements is because we know what the future holds. So we always want to stay ahead of what our customers need. But we're also looking at other things like reducing latency. We're looking at introducing later this summer a Wi-Fi ready now product so that when you do lose power, like I just did for a second, you have a backup system in your house that will provide you with battery backup for, say, 4 hours or so. It's not a long-term solution, but it's enough to let you save what you need to save. And the vast majority, I know it doesn't seem like it in Metro Detroit because of all the news we hear, but the vast majority of power outages do not last more than 4 hours.
No, I know that. And what was that? I was totally gonna say something about the speed thing. I totally lost my train of thought because I was thinking about the power.
Sorry.
No, I was thinking about the power outages and like everything that we have to go through and all that. But no, it's that's fantastic. Oh, you know what I was gonna say is we as consumers are more fickle now. I remember, obviously I could tell old stories when I was a kid where, my dad would yell at me to turn the antenna to the left a little bit. And now if it flickers on the screen, we're screaming bloody hell, or if it stops and loads, we're like, we're so spoiled as consumers now because we've been so used to this. If they only grew up in the dial-up like I did, then they appreciate.
Right. Where you used to dial up and then you'd go and get your coffee and maybe do something else so that hopefully it was up and running when you came back.
Yeah, well, my first dial-up was a 300 baud modem, so it was like load up the BBS and then it was wait for 2 hours for it to, not that long, but you know what I mean. So yeah,
Right.
but we are absolutely spoiled. So talk to me about I always like when you guys do cool stuff for the community, and you got a program called RISE, and you're giving out basically grants and some resources to like businesses that got hammered by COVID that actually still stayed in business.
Right.
What's the criteria to get looked at for that grant?
Sure. So the criteria, primarily, we're looking for small businesses that have been in business for a minimum of 3 years. They have to have between 1 and I believe it's 100 employees. They have to be located in Wayne, Washtenaw, Oakland, and Macomb counties. Okay. And we'll be giving away 100 grant packages. Historically, and the Comcast RISE program has been around for a couple of years. This year, we're doing something new, and I like to say we've taken the best of the Comcast RISE program and we've bundled it into this one big package. So each grant awardee will receive a $5,000 monetary grant. They'll receive education resources, business consultation services, and then they're going to receive in-kind grant support in the form of creative production. So we're going to help them produce a commercial, provide them with the media, so the actual commercial time. And then my favorite, a Comcast Business Technology Makeover. I love the technology makeover because if you think about a small business, let's say a restaurant, that restaurant owner probably knows how to put together a great menu. They know how to manage staff. They know how to get people in and out efficiently, but maybe they're not as tech savvy as you guys are. So how do they stay on top of cybersecurity threats, right? You guys know better than anybody that cyber criminals are targeting small businesses as much as they are the enterprise size businesses. So these businesses need to be protected. And so what this technology makeover does is it not only gives them all the equipment that they need, but all of the internet and cybersecurity services for an entire year. And it's really providing them with resources that they may not necessarily be experts in. And I think that that is just as important as the monetary grant.
So how do they, and I'm thinking restaurants now that you brought it up, but like we talked a lot about this during COVID, like a lot of restaurants, some of the ones that got on top of it, like tripled their business during COVID. And some of them that were experience based or floundered and passed. How do you, and I know we're not talking just restaurants during the pandemic, but like everybody, but what do you have to prove, I guess, when you say business that were hardest hit? Like, what do you,
Well, so this year the program has taken a little bit of a different shift, whereas in the past couple of years we really were targeting businesses that were the hardest hit. And in the first year, it really was businesses owned by people of color. All of the data showed that those businesses struggled the most. The second year, we expanded the program to include women-owned businesses. And the reason we were trying to help more women-owned businesses is because the data showed that women business owners, first of all, a lot of them during the pandemic were not considered essential services. So think about your beauty shops, your nail salons. Those were not essential services. So those
podcast studios.
Yep. So, and then the other issue with women-owned businesses is, believe it or not, they are less inclined to get loans, even though they're more inclined to pay them back. So for the third year of the program, which is this year, we opened it up to all small businesses. And it's really about helping them thrive and recover now versus that they're still dealing with the pandemic. It's really about helping them as they move forward. And so, there's the time frame. You can still apply through June 30th. And the application process is not super long. They also want to see that you're doing something good in the community.
What if they've been gone for a couple of years, or been like COVID killed them, and they want to jumpstart it back because they think that the market's ready for it again?
I believe they would have to be back in business for a couple of years.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure what the criteria was. I was just asking because again, I know not only Randy and I got hit by it, but a lot of people that we know and a lot of restaurant owners, a lot of friends, and some of us came back, some of us didn't.
Right. Yes. No, it's a great program, and Comcast is a company that's always been committed to helping small businesses. This is one way in which we do so, but there are so many other ways that we provide resources to small businesses. And I will tell you, believe it or not, it was 60 years ago this year that Comcast itself started as a small business. And I think that the company has really never forgotten its roots, even though right now it's a pretty darn big company, but they still are committed to staying close to small businesses and supporting them.
You guys in Ameritech, I think that's when it all started. Isn't that what that was pre-Verizon? I think the first iteration was Ameritech, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember Michigan Bell. That was my parents' first.
Michigan Bell, and then wasn't it AT&T?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember when we were 810 in Macomb County, and then we got the 586, and it messed my world up.
I remember when my area code was 313.
Oh.
And I've always lived in Oakland County.
Is that didn't the guy that ran the commercial that still did his phone number from the 1950s? Randy, do you remember him? It was like Tyler 87100. We do good work, and I'm like, that number they haven't done those numbers since like the 40s or 50s, and the guy's still barking it in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Wasn't there a Seinfeld episode when they introduced a new area code in New York and nobody wanted the new area code?
I don't blame them. What happened to the one in Detroit? Wasn't there one? Did that happen? I think Google Voice, screwed everyone up because we all have a fake number for spam and stuff that we all use for Google Voice. And I think that's what got rid of all the numbers. It's all my fault. So what else is going on? Are you guys still doing my favorite program to help out the kids on the free lunch?
Internet Essentials.
Yes.
Yep. We sure are. We still have our Internet Essentials program. And it, helps any family that is at or below the poverty level. It's a wonderful program. We're getting, believe it or not, we're getting close to back to school season. And,
Stop talking, right? We're not getting back. We still got 2 months. I got 3 kids. Let me have this time.
Yeah. But it's a great program. We still offer it. And then with the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is a $30 a month credit to anybody who qualifies, as long as they're at or below the poverty level and getting some kind of federal assistance, that really can make internet service free.
Is it really? I thought it was at $10 before, right?
Well, so think of it this way. Yes, the program is $10. If you get the $30 credit, then you're only on the $10 a month program, you've actually got $20 that you could put towards your Xfinity mobile bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not awful.
No, not awful at all. It's pretty darn good.
And I think you guys got the .com finally, didn't you? Because it was .net forever.
For Internet Essentials?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is .com. InternetEssentials.com, yeah.
Took long enough. I remember for probably 5 years you guys were .net. And I'm like, who's got a .net these days? No, this has been fantastic, Michelle. It's always great catching up with you. And we'll cut you loose. We appreciate the cool info and glad things are kind of, it's like I said, I'm in the business and you don't get to talk about this much. So I always like getting updated on what's going on and kind of the stuff that's going on around us. So appreciate you coming on and spending time with us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always great to be with you, and don't ever hesitate to reach out to me for anything.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that much. That's good. Michelle Gilbert. She's the VP of PR for Comcast. We always love having her on. We're going to end this episode 459 here, the IT and the D show. On behalf of Bob and Randy, do us all a favor. Drink your drinks. Get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Beat it.